Guys, are we cooked as a society? I'm genuinely starting to believe that we are at this point. And the reason is because I was scrolling TikTok lives today, and you guys know I've been live streaming on TikTok. You know, sometimes I like to look at other TikTok live streams just to see what's going on, you know, kind of scope out what people are doing, kind of observe, you know what I mean? And there was this one girl's live that I came across, and she basically was saying that a man who makes $300,000 is just a little bit too low for her standards in terms of dating, in terms of being an actual like partner with this person. And I was like, whoa, that immediately like blew my mind. I was like, $300,000? I'm like, girl, what? So I was just like confused. And then she like repeated it. And then I was like, whoa. And fortunately, she only had like, I think like 18 people watching her stream, which is a decent amount. You know, I'm not saying that it's not, but there wasn't enough comments to where I feel like mine would get filtered. So I just chimed in. I was like, hey, you do realize that somebody who makes 300,000, they're probably not going to be at the house too much. Like they're probably going to be working most of the time, you know, because that was just my opinion. That was my perspective, you know. And so I shared it on this forum, aka the live stream, and she went on to say, oh, well, just because you don't really know what you want, you know, that doesn't mean that I don't, you know what I mean? This is based off of what I've experienced. I've experienced this, and this is something that I, you know, attract into my life. And I was like, okay. I was like, all right, cool. And then it made me want to post this video because, guys, let's not value how much somebody makes. Can we please not? Can we please take that off the value marker when it comes to finding a good partner, a good spouse? I just think that if you're so caught up on, you know, just how much somebody makes or just anything external within this person, like, you know, even their looks, right? It's like when we value surface level things, it actually allows us to attract people that aren't actually going to be people that are good for us, right? Because if you're putting looks and you're putting things like money, right? Or you're putting things like status on a pedestal in terms of what you value in a relationship, then you're going to meet people that are only specifically focused on that. And so there's not a lot of other good qualities about these people, right? Now, don't get me wrong. Of course, there's exceptions. Of course, there is, you know, different situations for people that make a lot of money who do tend to be really great. I'm not saying that everybody who is super wealthy or super rich is not a great human being. What I am trying to come across, though, is to say that it's important to not put so much stock in how much money somebody makes, right? Because it really just makes you look shallow. It really does, in my opinion. But that's just my opinion. What do you guys think?